Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'm Gail Thompson, and today we're going to play with alcohol inks and foils, and it gets a bit messy, so my hands are not going to be perfect. I consider the stain kind of a crafty badge of honor, though. Here are some of the supplies that I use. They're really old, but they're alcohol inks, mostly by Ranger. Well, I guess they're all by Ranger. And the blending solution and Yupo paper. Before we get started, I wanted to show you these coasters really quickly. If you have interest in learning how to make them, let me know in the comments and I'll try to get a video. But I am going to link to a blog post that details how to make them. First, you need one of those salad spinners, and you're going to cut a piece of Yupo paper any size you want. I'm going to wind up cutting it down. And then I'm misting blending solution and also blopping some on just to be ornery. And now I'm plopping some Posh Impressions. This is an old Dig Grunig ink that, it's old, but it had some metallics in it and I thought that would be fun. So now you're just gonna squirt and plop until you get the colors you like. Sometimes serendipity doesn't come easy to me, but this salad spinner, you have no choice in what's going to happen really. So it's kind of fun and you just take the ball and run with it. Now in the beginning, it's going to look like a hot mess. Trust me, it gets better. It gets a lot better. You can get these salad spinners about anywhere. I think IKEA has them. Amazon has it. I'll link to down in the description, the Amazon link. I buy bagged clean salads, so I don't use my salad shooter anymore. I wish I could remember where I learned this method. I think it might have been when I was teaching, substitute teaching in school, in like elementary school. But it sure is fun, but it makes a mess. You might want gloves, but I think they get in the way. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to the colors or the positioning of any of the drops. It's just where I think something needs to go. You do want to take colors that work well with each other so you don't wind up with a muddy brown mess. And I did put in, as you see, some gold mixative, and now I'm dropping in some blending solution, trying to get it to move. And I have one of those puffers that you can stick on markers to make them sort of airbrush. I was never very successful with that, but I was successful in making a mess. And then I'm just going to puff it and add more. Instead of babbling, I'm just going to let you watch here for a minute. And here's the messy part. It kind of looks like someone's bleeding to death in my trash can with all the paper towels left over. But you just do whatever you can to get the color to move. And you can absorb by the corner of your paper towel some of the spots, or I'm just blotting it to see what kind of effect I'm going to get. You know, the cool thing about this paper is that it is a plastic paper. It's not made of wood. And so you can just wipe it all off with an alcohol wipe and start over if you want. So I'm taking one of those puffers again and seeing if I can't move that around. And I'm just going to let you watch here for a second. Believe me, there's no rhyme or reason here. I'm wishing that I had a little more purple there on the left. I can't remember if I add to it or not. Now I am going to heat set this a little bit. Now I don't want it completely dry though, because we're going to add some foil here in a minute. I learned this from Jessica Frost Ballas. She does beautiful work, and she also has a YouTube channel. I'm just, where it's damp, where the ink kind of blots up into little sections, little mountains I call them, if you rub on the ugly side of the foil down, pretty side up, you can get a beautiful effect like this, and it'll dry just lovely. Sometimes though, you have to help it along a little bit, and so I'll rub a little more, but I added a little bit of ink here in spots, but you're gonna have to get it to where it's sticky dry, but not dry. So sometimes you have to help serendipity along a little bit. And these were just scraps of foil that I'd already, oh, this one isn't, but I use also scraps of foil that already have some of it used up, and you wonder what you're going to do with it. Save it for stuff like this. Some more blotting. And now I'm just going to take my finger and kind of press that in. I'm trying to kind of have it even on the paper, but it doesn't really work quite that way. But see, it's starting to look like something now. Now, excuse the video, but I'm trying to get close up so you can see just how pretty that is. I mean, that looks like something professional, and you saw it. I couldn't be further from professional. Now, I only have the maze from My Favorite Things in white. Most of the products for this project are going to be from My Favorite Things, by the way, and I'll list them all below. So I'm just taking some of the alcohol ink, and I put it in one of those little baggies that we get when we get our craft things in the mail. And I'm just mooshing it around to get that maze stained. And I'm going to add a little more ink here because it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay because it's the nature of this project anyway to be a little marbly. But I wanted to get it pretty saturated. Now this takes a while to dry, and about a few hours into it, you're going to want to blot it a little to help it along because it takes forever to dry. And I even heat set it, but be very careful because it'll warp your maze. Now I'm just going to trim down this. It really hurt me to do this too. I'm trimming it down to just a little under 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's probably 4 by 5 1/4. And I couldn't decide which side to do it because it was so pretty. This really, really hurt my heart. But my table isn't completely level, so sometimes it takes a little bit of doing to get a cut. Your table can't have kind of a dip in the middle, and this table does. So it's nothing wrong with the cutter. I'm too lazy to go over to a sturdier table. Now I'm going to position the love from My Favorite Things. It's a die set, and I'm just using some white kind of placeholders here. Over to the left, you can see I've attached some purple ones on some fun foam to give them a little dimension. And I have also put a little bit of diamond glaze on top. Now it's time to get that maze, get the hole cut out for it. So I used a 2-inch circle die. And I'm going to run that over to my die cutter. And now I'm going to go ahead and lay the letters on. And I kind of pay attention to how far the L is off to the left side. And so I thought, oh, I'll put the V on. Then I got to thinking, no, I better put the E on first so I can have it kind of even on the right side. So you'll see me do that. And I'm using collage medium, and it doesn't take a lot. I need to put it in a different nozzle, but I haven't done that yet. I'm not really measuring, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. The T-ruler is there to kind of make sure I keep it level. And then I just set something heavy on it for a couple minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and finish the sentiment. This is from For the Boys, which is my favorite things. Now, they don't carry it anymore, but I did find it on Amazon, so I'll link it below. And always use your powder bag before you use your Versamark ink to heat emboss a sentiment. And I'm using my Gina K long acrylic block, which I love because it has a grid on it. Excuse my head there, my beautiful gray hair. And now I'm using glitter embossing powder. And I didn't shake it up real well, but I don't even think, even if I would have, it would have come out the way I wanted it to. It's just not detail enough to do small letters. But I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss this, heat set it, and but you'll see later that I switch it out for white. It's very pretty embossing powder. There's nothing against it. It's just that the glitter in it makes it so it's not the best for tight spaces. So now I'm going to get my little tiny sphere, and I only, for every one I use, I drop 3 on the floor. And I'm just going to put the card together, and I'm going to replace the circle. Just tape it down, and then I'm going to apply this to a slightly larger purple cardstock. With a lot of tape. I'm not sure why I use so much tape. And that just frames it out nicely. Then I bumped my E. I noticed that it wasn't quite dry. It's not the speediest stuff to dry. So before I did much more, I let it dry a little bit more. I apologize for the glare there on my maze. I keep messing with my lighting. I work out of a basement, so it's not the most well-lit area. And now I'm going to attach it to a card base of Neenah 110 Classic Crest Solar White. And that pretty much finishes off the card, but you'll see here in a minute. Oh, and I'm playing with the maze there. So this is the finished card. You amaze me. I love puns. I added some pretty pink posh gold confetti to kind of finish it off. I'd like to thank you again for stopping by. Please hit that subscribe, like, and comment, because YouTube is really making it difficult for anyone to make videos and have any sort of success. So also I'm going to post some videos here that might interest you as well. I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Come back and see me and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.